Before there was Guillermo del Toro, there was Jonathan Taylor Thomas. We saw The Adventures of Pinocchio, so you know what that means.
Schwarzenegger grow a baby in his belly, rock a rhinestone vest while whipping Justin to Kelly, or maybe see a burlesque show with Nick Crow and take a boat with speed to hitting cruise control. J-Man, Big Paul in the beautiful June, gonna take you from the goob all the way to the room. Ran the games of Street Fighter, helped to blow off steam, just a sucker punch the odd life of Timothy Green. Sharknado, the birdemic, how we staying alive. They call it in the badass and he's on the line, cranking 88 minutes cause they cool as ice, cause a bad Jim Varney looking kinda nice. Paul and June getting literal, Jason is getting laid. June is making sure all the monkey shots getting paid. They judge a bunch of movies while they're making the grade. Here's a real question for you, how did this get made? That's a good look, Haru.
What's that smell?
Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to How Did This Get Made's Matinee Monday, a look back at classic episodes of How Did This Get Made that we've pulled out of the vault and put back into the live stream, and you can listen to them now wherever you get your podcasts. But before you do, let me tell you a little bit about The Adventures of Pinocchio. First of all, these adventures, no one knows. I mean, seriously, we did this show live in Chicago, and we're actually going back to Chicago in just a couple of weeks. And when we asked people, do you know any of these tales of Pinocchio? No one had a friggin' clue. This is like the B-sides of Pinocchio stories. And if you don't know that much about Pinocchio, it's a story about a young boy and an old man. And if that sounds creepy, well, you haven't even seen the scene where Pinocchio discovers whipped cream. It is downright disturbing, but oddly not as disturbing as the scene when Martin Landau, who is the old man, takes a bath with Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Yes, they take a bath together. Yes, he's a puppet, but it's still fucking weird. This movie is bananas, and there's a lot of firsts here. Besides the fact that we were in Chicago last week in our episode, we talked to someone in the audience who gave their full name, and they said they were the first person to ever give their full name at a How Did This Get Made live show. Well, that is completely wrong, because that happened here in this episode. That's right, in 2019, live at the Chicago Theater, someone gave their full name, so we are pulling that title away from that person in the Stardust Brothers episode. I'm sorry, it's a cruel and vicious world, but that's the way we do things here. A lot of people also love when I tell stories about my childhood, and here is a classic. It's the one where my grandma told me that if I left the house, I might be killed and then used as chopped meat, but I won't tell you that much more about the story. I'll just let you hear it. But without any further ado, take a listen to a clip from this episode.
Like, would you rather watch this movie again or have 1 hour and 45 minutes of diarrhea? Like, that's the length of the movie.
First of all, there was no way the movie was an hour and 45 minutes. This was a 5-hour movie.
96 minutes.
Not
96 minutes that felt longer.
It has to be longer.
That's
96
not possible,
minutes
Paul.
that felt like longer than Endgame and Infinity War put together.
I'll say this, I watched the whole movie. Then I clicked on it to see how far it had progressed, 22 minutes. I was like, that can't be right. I've watched all of Geppetto's Nightmares now.
It was a tricky 96 minutes.
Now, I don't remember, I guess, the story of Pinocchio. Was Pedro the Cricket part of it?
So
Jiminy
Paul,
the Cricket
That's
was.
what Paul and I thought. We turned to each other
But
and said, wasn't it Jiminy Cricket?
Jiminy Cricket, though, my belief is the Pinocchio story must be public domain. Anybody can tell it.
Yes.
But my guess is Jiminy Cricket was a Disney creation?
Well, I think the idea of a cricket that has the moral compass for Pinocchio is true. And I think then Disney may have labeled him as Jiminy, and that was it. Because also all the characters in the classic Pinocchio tale, I mean, there's a lot of differences. I think this is more based on the book.
Okay, so
The book Pinocchio?
Well, yes, the book Pinocchio. I mean, I remember reading Pinocchio, and I don't think that's what I saw. I mean, this is not the story that I remember. And seeing the title now, it did make a little more sense that this is just one of the many adventures of Pinocchio.
June, this is all the adventures.
This is
it's one of
movie,
many.
June.
Because he's
one of
not
many.
being
In this
Pinocchio.
movie, he is made a child slave, turned into a donkey. He is part of the show. He is the lead of the musical performance. He is swallowed by a sea monster.
Well, who is a man?
Who was a man. Like, I think these are, in fact, all of the adventures
This
of
is
Pinocchio.
like there isn't another Pinocchio story, or is there? Because there was a sequel to this film. The sequel was released 3 years later. It was called The New Adventures of Pinocchio.
What?
There's more ahead.
Please tell me he comes to contemporary Earth.
Martin Landau did reprise his role.
Wow.
And Udo Kier came back not as Lorenzini, but as Lorenzini's wife, Madame Flambeau. So he went a different direction.
What?
And then Gabrielle Thompson played the title role, replacing JTT. By the way, June, this is 96. Were you a JTT head?
Let's see. I was 16. I was a little too old to be a full JTT head.
Got it.
I mean, I remember knowing of him and seeing him in the, on the rags, but I
Was
didn't.
he getting a lot of gossip rag?
On the rags?
Yeah,
so,
he was.
When you were having your period, you would
I knew
see
you were gonna say
Jonathan
that.
Taylor Thomas? Like, oh no, my Aunt Flo's visiting. Guess I'm gonna see JTT's face everywhere. I only seem to see it when I'm on the rags.
Yeah, I was a few years too old for him, but
Not me, I loved him.
my problem with the puppet, though, of JTT Pinocchio was he looked nothing like Jonathan Taylor Thomas at the
He
end.
looked much younger than Jonathan Taylor Thomas. When Pinocchio, the
by about
marionette,
10 years.
he looks like a, 6-year-old boy, something in that.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Taylor Thomas appears to be 12 when he transforms into a human boy.
Well, I mean, at the end of the movie, you think, he's going to be asking for, a sister. But he's like, get me a girlfriend,
Yeah.
Dad. I want to fuck some wood dolls
Yeah.
now. Get some dick splinters.
But so here's my question. Just because you brought it up. This is my genuine question. He's now a real boy. He's been transformed into a living boy, played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Why not try and get a girlfriend amongst the living? Why have Geppetto carve a wooden girlfriend? You then will have to find a magical way to bring that marionette to. Do you know the odds?
But this is what is so weird about the movie. I mean, I asked the very same question when Pinocchio is trying to save other puppets in the theater scene, because it's as though he is saving his friends and actual people. And I did not know is the premise of this movie that every puppet has the potential to...
I don't think so.
I was doing some thinking about this too, June, because you said...
You were?
Yes. Because when June said we were watching it, and Peppy, Jiminy Cricket, says, go save your brothers and sisters, they never come to life, but they're treated like when two of them are left on the ground for dead, like, oh, he left them for dead. But then I remembered in the beginning of the movie, Martin Landau, in his great Italian accent, says, meet your brothers and sisters. And so I think it was sort of like a little bit of like a flour sack baby scenario for Pepe. It was sort of like, hey, if you want to be a responsible real boy, you got to care about people. And that was his first challenge.
Huh.
Yeah, maybe.
That's right. This is one of my favorite episodes, and I love doing shows in Chicago. We'll be back there doing Morbius, which I think will be maybe on par with this movie in the insanity range. And by the way, if you want to see How Did This Get Made live or virtually, go to hdtgm.com, find out the latest about our tickets and where we're playing and if we're going to be in your town, because we are on tour right now. So jump in. Have fun, see us virtual, see us live, listen to the podcast here, listen to it in the feed. I don't care. There's so many options. All I ask is this. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is the official place of all your How Did This Get Made clips. And if you're hitting somewhere else, They're liars. You heard it here first. They are liars. All right. Thanks so much for listening to this week's How Did This Get Made Matinee Monday, and we'll see you next week for a brand new one.